Hello, and welcome back to Topical Rainforest, the show where we take a bunch of topics, and then we pick one, and we talk about it. On this week's episode, I am joined only by Michael Golus. How are you, Mike?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah. I guess we could talk about what's going on in the world right now, but these shows are kind of timeless. So, you know, we could be talking about George Bush's election. We could be talking about the virus. We could be talking about the Sumac uprising. And you wouldn't know because you probably won't discover this for years from now.
I thought you were about to suggest that we were doing this way back in like 2000, the year 2000.
2005.
This podcast definitely is not that old. It's pretty old.
No, but we haven't been discovered yet. So we got to factor that in, that by the time people discover us, you know, it could be 5-10 years from now. So we really want to be timeless. We don't want to make any jokes about President Neistat or anything like that. So we'll just keep it real timeless.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. All right. Well, are you ready? Let's enter the Topical Rainforest. Get on your protective gear. We're going into the rainforest. Watch out for the snake. Mike, are you watching out for the snake?
Watch out for snakes.
Come on, Mike. You got to act more, be more into it.
Yeah, I'm watching out for the snakes.
Great. Oh, look. There's a lion. Generally on this show, we've got at least three people. We did one with 5 people. This is only our 3rd episode. I thought we'd tone it down a little bit and just have the, classic Probably Okay cast, which is just you and me and David Lompy, which we got to get him on the show at some point.
Oh, David, yeah.
Yeah, it's just me and you. So, I don't know how we're going to vote because any vote we do where we don't. So when we pick a topic, so we're going to have to work it out. It's going to have to be a classic democracy where the mob runs everything. So we're going to have to join each other's mobs to actually get this podcast off the ground.
I think it'll be fine. I'm sure that we'll agree. We think
Okay.
Exactly the same on everything.
All right, I've got the our patented topic generator. I'm gonna start it up here. Stand back, put on your safety glasses, and here we go. Okay, the first topic is siblings.
Oh, siblings.
You've got 1. I've got 6.
You've got lots of them.
Yeah.
You
So that's
definitely
the
have a
first
lot
one.
more to talk about than I do.
Yeah, I could go on all night. So that would be kind of a one-sided conversation.
That was mean. That made it sound like I had nothing interesting to say about my brother. Oh.
Well, he's not that interesting.
Well,
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, I did not mean that. Your brother's awesome. Okay, let's generate the second topic. Fear. When were you very afraid? Or what are things you fear? Okay, so we've got siblings and fear. Are you ready for the third topic?
I'm still thinking about fear.
Well, we can come back. I'm just going to generate the third.
You don't want to waste time with me sitting in silence talking about or thinking about fear.
The third one is hospitals.
Ugh.
I don't know about you. I've never spent hardly any time in a hospital.
I've been into hospitals a few times, and
Well, you've got a baby now, so you had to do the whole baby hospital thing.
Yeah, there's been a couple things baby related when it comes to hospitals.
You know, you can get free babies at the hospital. It's just illegal. But you can do it.
Yeah, that I'm not going to refute that.
There are a lot of things you can do.
I went to the hospital once when I was a kid.
Wait, we got to pick one first. Did we pick hospitals?
No, I don't want to talk about hospitals.
Okay.
It would just be basically me telling a story about that one time I went to the hospital.
That's kind of the precedent we've set on this podcast, that we just tell long stories. But okay, let's go back. So we've got. Do you remember what the first one was? Because I had siblings, fear, and hospitals. Well, you said hospitals was boring. I said siblings is a hard one because there's a lot. I have a lot of siblings to talk about. I mean, I could do it easily. I don't know. I kind of like fear. What do you think, Mike?
What I think is that I could spend the entire length of this podcast just sitting here thinking about which one we should talk about.
Oh, I thought you were going to say which fear, because you have so many fears.
Sean, I'm not afraid of anything.
The problem is, if we reveal our deepest, darkest fears on the podcast, our 400
large fan base is going to come after us and try to scare us.
Josiah Keller will know how to strike fear in our hearts.
I have a fear.
Do you want to just talk about
fear that we're going to get so popular that we are going to have to fear for our lives every time we go out in public.
Yeah, that is one of the crappy things about being famous, that you always just think about, oh, it'd be so nice to have my art legitimized, and have people watch it and like it and talk about it. And, because for me,
and be
I want to
super wealthy and have everything you ever wanted.
I want to make art that people see, because, currently I make art and no one sees it, or 400 people see it and that's it, which I guess is nothing to, frown at, but that's not a lot.
That's 400 more than none.
I was at the National Association of Broadcasters podcast, and I was complaining about only having 400 for work, not for probably okay. We don't have a booth for our channel at NAB, but I was complaining about only having 400 subs, and I think it was 350 last year. So we got 50 new subscribers in a year. That's pretty amazing. It's a lot of growth. But I was complaining about that, and the guy's like, "Hey, some people don't have any." And I was like, "Yeah, I guess that's right."
Yeah, but some people have 5 million.
Yeah. But you don't think about the fact that you just can't do normal things. You can't just go on a walk somewhere if you're super famous.
Well, or you can, and then you can just enjoy everybody saying, "Oh, look, hey, it's those guys."
Well, that's what I think about people who are disliked. What if they just walked out in public? What would happen? They'd probably get punched to death or something. That's not a good way to go.
Yeah, you make a good point. Really, being super popular is probably not that great.
You want to be medium popular, where no one, only nerds know you.
Only cool people know who you are.
Only cool people know.
So when you walk out, you're like,
what? That's the way thing you call nerds cool people, so they feel better about themselves.
Well, obviously.
Hey, Mike.
What's up?
You're really cool.
Oh, thanks. You are too.
You're a cool guy.
Yeah, I would be pretty afraid to go in public if I was really super well known online, because I'm kind of an introvert, so I don't like the tremendous amount of attention.
Unless you're Captain Disillusion, who wears all that makeup, and in that case, they wouldn't know what he looked like.
So I guess, well, shoot, it's too late for us. Everybody already knows who we are, so we can't all of a sudden just start wearing makeup and be unrecognizable. Well,
we could wear makeup out in public. We could wear robot makeup and no one would know who it were.
There it is. That's the solution.
Yeah. So he has to make up down. We have to make up up. I have heard that some celebrities just disguise themselves. They just dress in really grubby clothes and wear big hats. There's a podcast I listened to called Mega 64, and two of the hosts went to Disney World and they saw Adam Sandler. And they were like, "Hey, is that Adam Sandler?" And he just said, "No, no, 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 no." Don't tell anyone I'm here. And they just walked away. But he did that Adam Sandler goofy voice.
Oh, man.
I kind of wish I had had that experience. That would have been fun.
You know what else I'm afraid of?
Wait, are we talking about celebrities or fear? What are we talking about?
We're talking about being afraid of being a celebrity.
But that wasn't the subject was fear. Did we haven't voted yet? Okay, we're voting. Okay, I
Oh,
vote
that's
for fear.
right. We didn't.
What do you vote for?
I already figured we were talking about fear, and that
Do you vote for it though, Mike? You have to vote for it.
Oh, I hate making commitments. I hate voting. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Fear it is.
Okay.
I'm afraid of making commitments.
So, what are your deepest, darkest fears, so that our followers can get leverage over us and like plant scary things in our closets?
We have to talk about our deepest, darkest fears.
Or your like least fear.
I'm afraid of tomatoes.
Like legitimately, or is that like your least fear?
I'm just kidding. I'm
gonna say my least fear is stubbing my toe. Like I'm kind of afraid of it, but I'm not that afraid of it.
I was thinking of like irrational fears that I've heard of exist, and like I've heard of somebody being deathly afraid of tomatoes. Like if they even saw them, they would run out of the room screaming.
Do we both know someone who's terrified of birds, or is that just me?
I don't think so. I don't think I know anybody.
Okay, it must be someone I know up here in Illinois. I can't even remember who.
No. Come to think of it, my grandmother was afraid of birds. And I think it was because she had a sibling who threw chickens at her when she was a kid.
Well, that is pretty scary because they have large talons.
But other than that, I don't know anybody who's afraid of birds.
I guess birds are scary if you realize that like so much of their body mass is fake. Because like if you see a bird that's wet, it's like a skeleton. Like they're mostly feathers, and that's kind of freaky.
I suppose they could also be scary if you think about how they used to be velociraptors who evolved into birds.
Oh yeah.
That's how it went, right?
Well, I mean, the other thing is it could have just been when they were making Jurassic Park, they needed some sort of like animation. I think that's actually the origin of that. They're like,
have you read Jurassic Park? It's like a science textbook.
oh,
It's pretty much. It's accurate.
I actually read Ken Ham's version of Jurassic Park called Noahic Park, and
okay. So there was no evolution in that one.
Well, it's actually very similar to Jurassic Park. There are all these dinosaurs on Noah's Ark, and then one of Noah's enemies like gets on, and like he wants to steal a boat. So but he ends up opening all the cages for the dinosaurs. But it's fine because the Noah only took baby dinosaurs, so it's not even it's kind of anticlimactic. It's like really scary. Oh no, to get at the boat, he has to open all the cages where the dinosaurs are, but then they're all baby dinosaurs. So, and then the guy who steals the boat drowns because God didn't want him to survive. So, he still faces his judgment at the end. So. It's kind of a weird book. I don't know why Ken Ham wrote it.
I thought you were making that whole thing up.
No, I did. It's not real.
I didn't know. I wouldn't put it past him.
Noahic Park. Gotta get these bleepy bleeping snakes off this bleepy bleeping ark.
That's exactly how it was written.
What is something you're afraid of? You don't have to say deepest, darkest fear. It could just be a thing that you are afraid of.
I am afraid of somebody coming up to me who, like, totally knows who I am, and I have no clue who I'm talking to. Like, I fear that happening. Because it has happened.
Yeah. No, that literally happens to me, like, at least...
way too many times. I swear that there is somebody who lives in the same town that I do,
mm-hmm.
who looks identical to me. Because not just once, not just twice, but like a ton of times, I'm walking through town and someone stops me and is like I'm super familiar to them. Not just, hey, you look familiar. It's like they feel like they know exactly who I am. And I'm like, this person is not familiar to me at all. There's no way that I ever knew this person. And so, in this one case, I met this one guy, and I think he greeted me by the name Josh or something. And so right away, it's like, I don't think he really does know me. But then he's like, maybe we did know. Oh, and I told him my name was Mike. He's like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess I just didn't remember your name. And we were both of us trying to remember where we met each other.
Yeah.
And I was like, was it this thing from my past? Was it this thing that maybe we were both involved with? And basically we had nothing in common, no potential prior meetups or anything from which we could determine. But
weird.
He swore he recognized me. So,
are you sure you don't have a dark half?
Well, here's where it gets even stranger.
Oh, is this where it gets scary?
I was hiking at a local park, which was, maybe 45 minutes, an hour away from downtown, the first place I saw this guy. And I happened to run across the exact same guy. And he greeted me again by the name Josh. At which point I'm like, oh, it's not Josh, it's Mike. He's like, oh, yeah, I remember. We saw each other in downtown, and we again...
Oh, that's good.
We again tried to figure out where it was that we had met each other.
I was worried that he would have not remembered meeting you before, because then he would have been also a double. Like, there's 2 versions of him and 2 versions of you. That would be pretty weird. I was at a bookstore, and this dude was in there, and he was just browsing, and I was browsing. And then I drove to another town, and I went into an antique store, or it was a thrift shop, and there's a dude in there also browsing, and he looked like the guy who was browsing at the bookstore. So I said, hey, man, I think I just saw you at the bookstore. And he turned to me. He's like, where? And I was like, Libertyville. And he's like, oh, I've never been to Libertyville, but my grandparents grew up in Libertyville. My mother was born. And then he proceeded to tell me, he just started telling me the whole history of his family. And then following me around the store as I looked at things. And I was just walking around browsing. I was like, and he just kept talking, and I was realizing, like, oh, this guy either is just really socially inept or has, mental issues. And I felt bad, but like I didn't want to talk to him for like the rest of my time because I just wanted to shop and move on. So eventually I just said, oh, great, and I ran out of the shop. Well, I didn't run, but I walked very quickly and got in my car and left. Because he was like, he just wanted to hang out with me.
I'm trying to think of anything else that I could say, like, I'm legitimately afraid of, but I make a very conscious effort to avoid getting any situations that I would be afraid. So
yeah,
I don't even know if I know what I'm afraid of.
Wow. I'm gonna get into more spooky territory.
Oh, I thought we might be going there.
Yeah, I'm afraid of large, like, bodies of dark water.
Huh.
Because I don't know what's underneath it. And it's silly because I live in Chicago, I live in Illinois, and the only large bodies of water are lakes and then Lake Michigan, which is much bigger than the little lakes. And I've been out on both in boats. And the thing is, like, the biggest creature in Lake Michigan is like 4 or 5 feet long. It's like these big bottom feeder fish.
That's what you think.
Well, they claim that bull sharks can swim in fresh water for like 6 months or something. But even then, they wouldn't be able to get up the Mississippi because there's all these dams and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, unless someone... Now, I did think it would be a funny... Well, not funny. A weird horror story plot would be a guy who has giant pet sharks, and he drives them around in trucks or helicopters and drops them into, like, swimming areas. It'd be a really stupid movie, but I can see Stephen King, like, writing a short story about it or something.
So you would be afraid of going above the Mariana Trench in a boat?
Yeah, I mean, I'd definitely be afraid of being out on ocean water because there actually are large creatures that can hurt you. Especially, like, the Pacific coast where, like, killer whales will just attack people in kayaks. Like, I don't think I ever want to kayak on the Pacific coast. But what's funny is it's an irrational fear because where I am, there's literally nothing that can hurt me. I mean, we do have really large snapping turtles that are, like, they're pretty big. They get about the size of small dogs. But, they stay under the bottom and, like, they'll only snap at you if you, like, try to touch them. They're not going to, like, attack you if you're in a boat or something. But last summer I was kayaking on a lake by my house, and something bumped the back of my boat, like this loud thud.
Where were you?
So I was kayaking in a small lake.
Oh.
It's a pretty large lake. It's a couple miles around the perimeter of it. But I was in kind of a shallow area, so maybe I just paddled over one of those turtles.
It's one of those 4-foot bottom feeder fish you're talking about.
Maybe. I don't know. And it could have been a log, And it's stupid because it's an irrational fear. Because like I said, there's literally nothing in the water that could hurt me. Even if I fell out, the worst that would happen is I would get nibbled on by a fish, Or a snapping turtle would, like, snap at me a little bit. So I don't know. But it's that irrational fear. It's like, what if there's something else under there? What if there's, like... Because, like, one of my favorite monster movies is The Creature from the Black Lagoon. It's this big, like, gill man that swims in a black lagoon in South America. And I imagine that, but that's stupid. I mean, and I love that character. It doesn't scare me. I just think it's cool. And I actually do want to make, like, an underwater monster movie at some point. So I don't know. It's just when I get out on water, especially when I'm alone in a kayak, I just have all these irrational fears about something swimming below me and attacking me. So Josiah Keller, if you want to scare me, put on a scuba gear and wait until I go boating on a specific lake, and then swim up and tap the bottom of my boat.
Have you ever?
I wonder if Josiah actually listens to these long podcasts. I guess we'll see. We'll see in the comments.
I bet he does.
Sorry, you were asking me something.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the documentary Free Solo?
Yeah, it was an okay Star Wars movie. Like, I felt like the big monster at the beginning was kind of stupid, and it was lit really weird. It was like lit like an art house film, but you couldn't see a lot of it. But I like the story and I like the actors. I kind of want a sequel, actually. That's what Free Solo is about, right? It's about how it's like a documentary by fans who want to free Solo so we can see a sequel.
Yeah, that one. But there's also another one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's about
It's also called Free Solo?
It's about a guy. It's also called Free Solo. It's about a guy that
Wow. How
climbs
do they do that?
mountains. It's very different.
Yeah, like that would be confusing if you're a Star Wars fan who wants to watch a documentary about saving a movie series, and then you're watching mountain climbing. I guess you could just wait and be like, I'm just waiting for Chewie. Like, this guy looks different than Han, but, maybe they just couldn't get Harrison.
Well, I obviously wasn't bringing up that version of Free Solo because there wasn't anything really scary in that one.
Yeah,
but
well, except the fact that Disney keeps messing up Star Wars.
Oh!
SJWs, they're ruining everything. Rey is an overpowered Mary Sue. Those movies should have just been about the original 3 characters from the original trilogy. The fact that they invented all these new characters makes me mad. I don't care about Rey and Kylo Ren. I want to watch an old Mark Hamill try to act.
Free Solo. It's a documentary about a guy who climbs mountains without ropes, and it's totally nuts. And I was bringing that up to say I'm not afraid of watching people on heights, but when you actually put me in front of a ledge, I feel like I'm getting pulled off by some invisible force.
Wait, I thought you liked rock climbing, though.
But see, that's the thing. I do. I like it. But at the same time, I've got a good, healthy fear of heights. So I need to be tied into a rope, connected to something solid. I don't like heights.
Yeah.
I like heights. I like experiencing heights, but I don't like feeling like I'm getting pulled off of a cliff by an invisible force.
Yeah. I'm there with you. We have a cliff near us called Devil's Lake, about 3 hours north of us, and we go up there and about once a year. And I love walking on the cliffs. I just don't like getting too close to the edge,
It's weird. I don't understand it. Like, why can I... Well, here's an example. Take a log across a creek, and it's maybe 5-6 feet up. So if I walk across that log and I fall, it might hurt. I'm going to land in the water. It's not going to be pleasant. Yeah. But
unless there's a snapping turtle.
I don't feel if there's snapping turtles down there. I don't feel at easy. Or I don't feel uneasy. Or if Josiah
Keller's in there with scuba gear on.
Well, I don't know about them, so I'm not afraid of them.
Okay.
See, that's the difference
I know what you're saying.
Between you and me with that. Yeah. I don't fear the water because
I'm not afraid of creeks.
What's under the water. If I knew that there was something dangerous down there, then maybe I'd be afraid. But
when I was a kid, though, I used to think that. I used to be like bouncing on the wall outside our house, and I was like, I could probably go to Coruscant and be a Jedi and walk on 1,000,000-story buildings because I can do it like this and I don't fall off.
So there's some point at which it becomes frightening, and it goes from, it feels like I'm walking along flat ground on a sidewalk, and you're never afraid of falling off a sidewalk. Well, at least maybe you're not. I'm not, but.
Yeah.
You're walking along and you're not going to randomly step off the side of the sidewalk as you're walking straight. But if that sidewalk was 100 feet up, you'd be pretty uneasy, even though it's the same sidewalk and the same width and you're walking straight.
I mean, there is the wind variable. Like, if you're up high, there's going to be more wind, and that makes it more dangerous. Right? I mean...
Maybe.
I guess if there's no wind... I think maybe it's just like our natural instinct, like that God gave us to preserve ourselves.
Or maybe
like when we're up in a high place, like that part of our body just like it's like a smoke alarm. It just goes off when we're up high.
Maybe there really is
to preserve us
an invisible force trying to pull you off that cliff.
Maybe
Maybe that's why you feel like there is, because there is.
Dude, I mean, if I was a ghost, I would want friends, so I would just like try to kill people so they could be my friend.
Wait, what?
Like, you're a ghost. You die falling off a cliff, and then you're just haunting the cliff.
You go. Yeah,
and you're like, oh man, that guy looks nice. What's his name? Josh. Hey, Josh, and you don't answer because
it's Mike.
And the ghost.
Don't kill me!
Oh, dang it! I thought I recognized you, but I died 50 years ago, so of course my friend Josh wouldn't look like a 30-year-old. And then he pulls you off the cliff. But then you don't become a ghost because you have a really great life and you don't need to like resolve anything. You just go straight to heaven. And
I think maybe I would become a ghost just because I'd be like, I feel bad for the other ghost and want to keep him company.
Yeah, but you'd stick around for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, just like, all right, just a little bit of time.
I want to go see
chat.
Jesus now. I don't. You're cool, but you should probably come to the afterlife too.
Yeah.
But then like if he's going downstairs, like he might not want to. That's the thing with ghosts.
That's why ghosts exist.
Yeah, they're yeah, I mean, just to let you guys know, I don't really believe in ghosts. Although I just saw the movie Lake Mungo, which is the most terrifying ghost movie ever. And you should all watch it. The weird thing about it is it's not scary until an hour after you finish watching it.
Oh, that's intriguing.
And then it creeps up on you. Because you start to think about the implications of the ending. It is a good movie. It's really scary. It's funny because I saw it online. Lake Mungo, the scariest ghost movie ever made. And I was like, oh, come on. And then I watched it. I'm like, this isn't scary.
That's interesting. Because I don't think that I could... I can't say that I've ever seen a movie that really scares me. Except maybe when I was like really young. And happened to... I don't remember because I was really young and there was some movie that was on in the background, like in the house when I was a kid. I think it was Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
But again, I can't remember for sure. But as like a 4-year-old, you imagine that Ghostbusters, if you didn't really know what you were watching, could be really creepy.
Yeah.
But other than that, I can't think of a movie that I was like afraid of.
Well, it's funny because like there are those. I remember that too. When you're a kid, you sometimes accidentally see something you're not supposed to, and it like is 1,000 times scarier because you don't have the context.
Yeah.
So like when I was a kid, my folks would watch this Sherlock Holmes series that was made in the 80s.
Oh, scary.
Really great series with
Scary.
Jeremy Brett
Totally
as Sherlock
scary.
Holmes. Yeah, and there's one where like a bunch of people are poisoned because someone drops like this poisonous plant down their chimney, and they all die by like frothing at the mouth and collapsing. And of course, I walk out to ask for a cup of water right at the scene where all these people are like dying by frothing at the mouth. And I'm just like, I didn't know what was happening. I'm like, are they dying? Are they turning into monsters?
Traumatized
Like,
for life.
Freaked me out. I remember they actually played Jurassic Park on TV once, and I'd never seen it. My dad like watched it with me. And then I just remember there was this weird period where I always kept my door open. So I just remember looking out of my bed was like right up against the door. So I was looking out the door into the darkness, just imagining that there's a giant velociraptor just right outside of the light, just waiting to get me. And I was old enough to go, well, that's can't be real. But I was young enough to still have that vivid imagination, so I was just still terrified.
Well,
because maybe there is a dinosaur.
But like we found out today, doesn't matter how old you are, you can still have irrational fears.
That's right, Mike. That's right. The lesson for today's podcast. Everyone stay safe out there.
Stop being afraid of things.
Hey, everybody. PSA, stop being afraid. You don't have to. It's fine.
Hey, I'm not afraid anymore.
Do you hear it? I'm not afraid. Well, we've gone over, and we're only supposed to do a 30-minute podcast.
Are we allowed to do that?
Let me look. Wait. I'm looking at the rules. No, we're not, actually. We're going to get in big trouble. Do you have $700?
I'm afraid this show's going to get canceled.
Canceled after only 3 seasons.
Each season is 1 episode long.
1 episode a season. It's a half-hour episode. It's a half-hour season. Okay, guys, thanks for listening to another episode of Topical Rainforest. I know we haven't been around for a while. We're going to try to put out more of these when we can. We were originally going to put out 1 a month. I don't know if that's going to be a thing, but I kind of like this format where it's just me and you. We don't have to deal with any other losers, you know.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Except for David.
Although
and
we
Jeremy.
need to get Lumpy. Yeah, and Jeremy
Scott
is great. We need to get we haven't had Scott on or Gary. We need to get Gary on. It'd be fun to do an episode with Gary Fraptis.
do a character episode. That's interesting.
Wait, what are you talking about, Mike?
What?
Gary's not a character. Gary's real.
Gary's real.
Gary's real. Mike. Gary's real.
All right, now I'm really afraid.